Alright guys, so before I share my daily thoughts with you on the end of the world, I want to show you what I got in the mail. You know what this is? You know what this is, man? 100% Colombian, man. It's actually prescription grade antibiotic medication from Jace Medical. There finally is a service where you can get an emergency supply of medication. Not just antibiotics, but your other chronic medication as well. It's super easy. You have a text-based consult with a licensed medical practitioner, thoroughly vetted. Use the coupon code Canadian Prepper until February 10th and get $20 off your emergency kit. Antibiotics are just, you gotta have them, okay? On that same topic, I was watching a movie last night. It's an amazing film. Absolutely amazing. You will be captivated for the full hour and a half. Go and watch the film Arctic, okay, made in 2010. It's about a guy who's survived a plane crash and he's trying to survive out there in the Arctic. Wonderful film. Every survivalist is gonna love this movie, unless you're somebody who just wants to see zombies and stuff like that. But if you want to see a real, truly gritty survival situation, go and check it out. And the reason why I bring it up, because in that movie, had they had an emergency stash of antibiotics in their emergency kit, they would have fared better, but I'm not going to spoil it for you. So as promised, I want to give you an update on my musings about this stuff going on the other side of the pond, okay, between Russia and the Ukraine. Now, it appears to me, this just is my opinion, my wee little opinion that doesn't really take into account all the different dynamic moving pieces on the chessboard and all the nuance of all the actors involved, because there's a lot of history that goes into this, and there's a lot of people who could perhaps give a much more expert take on what is actually transpiring on the ground with respect to the different parties that are involved. However, just like the stock market, you know, you can have the best experts and they're always going to be wrong, okay? So you really kind of have to go with your gut. Now, my gut is telling me that there probably is going to be a war of some sort. There probably is, okay? Probably. And the reason why is not even necessarily related to anything that's going on over there. It's just that economics and militarism kind of go hand in hand. Believe it or not, war is a great economic stimulus. Okay, and there's many economic theorists who wrote whole theses about this topic. If you can mobilize a nation for war, number one, it's going to take attention away from any other bad things that are going on right now. We all know the statistic by now, I think, that any president who's served during a conflict basically guaranteed to be reelected, okay? Because obviously there needs to be that continuity of policy. I do think, though, it's starting to look like it's going to be a proxy thing, because you have all these threats and all these really mysterious headlines. Like I'm seeing NATO threatening that they're going to send troops to Europe. Okay, we're going to send troops to Europe. And to me, this is kind of like, you're the Ukraine, right? You call the police and you say, hey, this guy is trying to do a home invasion on me. And the police come, but they go watch the home invasion happen from your neighbor's house. And then do what exactly? Do they accidentally, walk in and get struck in the head and then react? Is that what is supposed to happen? Because no NATO country is saying we are going to directly come to the aid of Ukraine. Sorry if I called it the Ukraine in the last video. Somebody corrected me on that. I appreciate that. It is Ukraine, not the Ukraine, something to do with the Russian hegemony, Soviet hegemony. I don't really know all the details of it, but Ukraine. So it appears to me that all parties involved in this thing, with the exception of course, Ukraine, have something to benefit, because all the economies of the world right now are in shambles, be it China, Russia, the United States, and the stock market is in free fall. And the best way to really take attention away from that, because we know the Fed is calling it quits, okay? They're basically saying, all right, the party's pretty much over. All the fat cats have liquidated their shitty stocks, and the market's crashing for all you wonderful peasantry who are now stuck holding the bag. So this means there's going to be a lot of angry people, and you need to channel that anger in a certain direction. And when you actually look at the military stocks like Raytheon, Lockheed Martin, Northrop Grumman, you start to see that these stocks are actually doing okay. They're not doing really better in the last few weeks, but they haven't really went down nearly as much as the rest of the market. So that's a signal to me that somebody somewhere is saying, you know what? These things are going to have value in the not so distant future, because remember, the market knows what's coming. If you ever want a barometer for what's coming next, look at the markets. And a lot of those military stocks seem to be weathering this whole recessionary storm. I was talking with Roman over at Mira Safety, and we're going to release that video next week. It was about a 90-minute chat of how to survive if a nuclear exchange actually happened. Heaven forbid that actually happened. He was saying how he thinks that we're several steps away from that. And this guy is a dual citizen, Russian-American, has a business in Austin, Texas, Mira Safety, sells personal protective equipment. He was saying that he thinks that we're several steps away from that. And I have to agree. But I would add to that, though, just like a car rolling downhill, once the wheels are in motion, it becomes very hard to stop, and it's going to continuously accelerate. And whether or not Ukraine is going to be used as a sandbox for the military industrial complex to use all its old stock, I certainly hope not, because that could create all sorts of problems. It could create a refugee crisis just with people trying to flee that country, and then other parts of Eastern Europe are going to get involved, and it can have many detrimental economic effects. However, militarism can be an economic stimulus. It will prompt domestic production of various weapons, and of course all the other things that the soldiers are going to need to fight. People are going to be mobilized and captivated, and both sides are probably going to be using various types of propaganda to convince their people that they are the righteous ones, that we are the ones that are just defending ourselves, okay? That's why every country's army has a Department of Defense, because you wouldn't want to call it the Department of Offense, because that would be quite offensive to a lot of people. All I'm saying is that I do think that we are probably, unfortunately, going to see a proxy exchange. Now, I want to say something to some of the people, and this is just my personal advice for you. There's some people who seem to be excited about this prospect, and perhaps that's because you don't live in Ukraine or in those countries that are closest, okay, and that have to endure the stress of actually having their country overrun by a superior military force. I mean, we're talking about potential life and death here. People who type things like, oh, I wish it would just start already. To me, the only person who would ever write something like that is a person who perhaps has never experienced the true horrors of war. Now, I've never experienced firsthand, but I know full well that I certainly don't want to. Okay, I like living in relative peace and security. Yeah, you got the tyrannical government breathing down your neck. What are you going to do? Some things are never going to change. I'm just going to count my blessings, and I'm going to hope that this situation dissolves. But unfortunately, I do think there is probably going to be some kind of proxy engagement. It doesn't seem, or at least based on what we are hearing, it seems that there is this stalemate right now. And that's not good, because that means somebody really has to make a move. Somebody is going to make a move. I'm pretty sure, and without getting into specifics and speculation, I'm going to assume that Russia has attempted to subvert Ukraine via other means, whether that's putting in a dictator or trying to win the hearts and minds of the people. And a lot of people have made the criticism that if they go in there and they're not seen as liberators, like wherever you go, if you're not seen as a liberator by the majority of people, it's going to be a huge drain on your economy. However, I can also see how a 40 million person strong economy, I hear a lot of people saying, well, the Ukraine's economy is not that good. Yeah, they still have 40 million people, okay? 40 million people, very capable people who, if mobilized under the right leadership, could probably do a lot. You could say that Russia is having thoughts about the glory days of the Soviet Union, and they want to reunite all these, and they probably do. But I don't think that that's, a lot of people are saying that's about Putin has this dream to do it. I don't think it's a dream. It's all about power and economics. It's about bringing back, those people who were the first ones to put a man in space. Okay, that bringing back the glory days of the Soviet Union. That's probably what it's all about, perhaps under the auspices of a different economic model, perhaps one that's not so communistic. I don't know. What do I know? I'm just a prepper trying to figure it all out. But that's what it appears to me. This is conveniently timed, and I think I even said this mid-2020 in one of my car rants, is that, first there's a pandemic, then the economy crashes, then they take you to war. I think Gerald Celente also says something like, when all else fails, they'll take you to war, because that's a great way to stimulate the economy. Unfortunately, the economy is in the pisser, doesn't look like it's going to get better, and I just say hold on for dear life, because the Titanic is sinking, folks. Make sure you pick up your Base Medical antibiotics. They will be a lifesaver. And check out the movie Arctic. You will enjoy it. Thank me later. Thanks for watching. Stay safe, guys. Let me know what your thoughts are on this issue in the comment section below. Canadian Prepper out.